Welcome to the Success Mindset Show, and I have got an amazing lady here who I have met through different people. We're all connected. What is it? Bob Proctor said one time we're all, or maybe it was Napoleon Hill, I can't remember. We're all connected, 7 degrees of separation and so on. So we're connected somehow, some way. Anyway, we've just now talking for the first time, even though we've supported each other on social media. And I have got a lovely lady with me, Glenda Kroll. Glenda, would you like to introduce your good self and tell everybody where you are, who you are, and what you do?
Hi, thank you very much for bringing me on today. And it is an absolute pleasure to finally meet in person where like we said, yes, it's a wonderful thing. And Zoom is a wonderful thing because you're all the way in Ireland and I'm all the way in Toronto, Canada. So we are, it's like, we're connected
Yes.
anyway, which way. So it's a beautiful thing. And I thank you very much for bringing me on. So, through my journey of life, I am very grateful for the years of the struggle and everything that I've gone through because, like just finished saying to you, I consider myself a wise woman, and the wisdom comes from the challenges that you keep on going, the resilience that you keep on going, no matter what.
Yeah.
The falls where you fall and you fall apart, and sometimes you just wonder whether you should even get up because sometimes that road leading ahead might look really dark. And through the years, I'm grateful to say that I'm 63 years young, and I'm so grateful that I'm healthy and I'm happy and I have a beautiful life. But it's that life hasn't just come because I think positively and all the rest. It's become because I put the hard work into it because I believed in myself. And at times when I've even felt nobody believed in me, I had that thing in me, and I don't know where it came from. It was like as a child, there was something in me that had to keep on going. And part of it was through what I've been through in other parts of my life. But through these challenges, as I said, this wisdom is from what you've learned and what you have come through. And from that, at the age of 52, I had one of my greatest falls. That my life, what I had known, had totally fallen apart. My relationship of 14 years, I'd found that my spouse was in multiple relationships. And
Oh,
when I found this out. My life was very busy before that. So even when I had these whispers and things, when I should have listened to myself, I didn't because, at that time, my mom had come down with dementia, not come down, but it was creeping in.
yeah.
And I have two brothers with special needs, which um, through those years when after my dad had passed away 30 years ago, that sort of started to come onto my plate because my mother wasn't coping well. So I started taking on that responsibility. And then all of a sudden I'm running a business. I'm having these feelings that are, that something's wrong, but I didn't have time because I had two grown men with special needs that my mother was a sole caregiver, that I had to take over that responsibility. And everything was all up in the air. And I had two children of my own, which were in middle school. So I had lots to deal with. So, you deal with what you can when you can, and you stop beating yourself up with what you can't. But when that part of life sort of settled down and everybody I got into position where they needed to be and looked after, then it's when the time was something hit me. It was actually an email that came in that made me start to look at things. Our business had changed substantially because of 7-Eleven or 9/11. 7-Eleven is the is something else. But through 9/11, everything had it changed in our business. And when an email came in, I knew something was wrong. And it was that night where, that gnawingness came at me. And I said it was time to start listening to myself. And when I went looking, what did I find? I found emails from that he had multiple relationships. And at that point in time, what I did is, because I had gone through a previous divorce, which was horrific. I knew the struggle that I was up against, and when that came flooding back into my mind, I knew that I couldn't just say to him what I had found. Instead, what I had done is I set myself up, and for 9 months, I didn't let him know that I knew anything, and I carried on as if everything was real. But what I did is, in the background, I set up my new life. I put everything in order so that when I finally convinced him to sell the house and everything was in, I actually had a brand new home to go to. But what happened at that point in time was, after everything fell and I sat back, and I had, thank God, a roof over my head. But at that point in time, I didn't have a business anymore. I didn't have a car. I was surrounded with in a condo with my children, thank God, which were, one was in just starting his law degree, and another, my other child, was just going into university. And I had to figure out what I was going to do with myself. And that's when I sort of started putting a life together, because I had to now, at the age of 52, I had to recreate and rebuild myself from the bottom up. Loss of confidence, loss of self-worth. I didn't know what I wanted to do, no job. So I had to reinvent myself. And from that, I learned so many things. And, I didn't know the online space, because at that point in time, my business wasn't there before.
Mhm.
So I knew with what I was looking at to do for myself, and I felt that one of the areas, I went into real estate, and I became an investor, and I did some incredible stuff, and I made a lot of money. I did really well with myself. But I knew that there was more to me, because all the things that I'd been through, I I had collected so much wisdom and data from it. So I wanted to do coaching, because um, I am a certified life coach, but I'm more than that, because of what the areas in my life that I have touched upon. And the one important area, and especially since COVID, is recreation. And that's what I've been successful to do. And that's what I'm doing now, is I'm helping people recreate themselves. And that can be, whether you've gone through a divorce and you're landing, face down on the pavement,
Yeah.
which where I was, or whether you're maybe been in a job and you feel like you're really stale, and you maybe feel that there's something more in you, like there's something that gnawing on you that you can create, that's in you, but you just don't know where to go from. Or
Mhm.
maybe you lost a job and you need to figure it out. Or, I have several moms where their kids are now gone, and they're at home, and they need to do something with themselves. Life isn't meant that we're supposed to sit around and the days are supposed to go. We need to feel enriched in ourselves. So what I do is I help people find their passion and help them grow, and figure out where they need to move forward. And if that is starting a business, or that's just maybe even putting your body back together again after, you've been at home with your kids and maybe not looked after yourself, whatever the case may be, it's
Mhm.
time that you just find. Because at the age now that I'm at 62, you're not old anymore. You've got life, you got vitality, you can, like, you can reach for the sky, and you've got a lot more to give. Life is, at this point in time, people are living longer than ever before, but prices and everything are also going up like never before. So we need to enrich ourselves, gain the skills that maybe we're lacking. And there's so many easy ways of doing it. And the hardest part is, especially if you've never done it before, is to get into finding somebody who's doing it now. And somebody like myself, I had to learn to do all this at the age of 50. So I understand I have a different, mindset of how to go about it. I found easier ways because I struggled so much.
Yeah.
So now it's like, I don't want to see you struggling. Like, when I go through things, my biggest thing is when I sat back and went through those things, and I always think to myself, nobody should be going through these things alone.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, no,
not what life is made out of.
no, I totally agree with you, and you've got a lovely zest for life. and I can feel your energy and vibration, and I can feel the positivity radiating from your, not, you know, not just you, but your vibe, your energy, you know. So it's wonderful. And would I be right in saying then that who is your typical client, by the way, like age, demographic, you know, and so on and so forth, even geographically, who is your typical client? Is it male, female? Is it both? Does it matter? Is it age? Where is it? What is it?
Well, when I first started out, I was actually concentrating more on females, but what was happening is I had a lot of males because I resonate with men. I love men, and I really think in some parts of life they're getting the raw end of things. And I believe that we need to come together and support each other no
Yeah,
matter what. I've been in so many different industries. I've been in corporate Canada. I worked for Shell Canada, which is one of the largest corporate entities in Canada, and I was there for many years. And I worked primarily with men, and I worked in the retail end of ladies' clothing. So I've been through with the women and been through supervising women and stores throughout all throughout Canada. So I've had a taste of all different lives and different areas in the world. And like I say, I've done a lot of things in my short years on this planet. And I'm so grateful for it all. And, as I mentioned to you even earlier, I work also with people who have special needs children and for families to help build them up. But for when people looking to starting to recreate themselves, it's male or female, but it's usually men and women that are around the ages of 50, when they know that they're just also tired in a job, and they know that they could do more. They have this gnawing feeling that were meant for more,
yeah,
or they have this special hobby, and they like you can create money and go online and build yourself and a presence online with those things. So I help you tap into where your genius zones, what we'll call it. But it's usually someone around in their 50s, although I have worked with quite a few people in their 40s, but more or less, and anywhere in the world, because everything's online now. So it's
yeah.
very easy for us to tap in. And I do a very deep dive with people that really want to start working with me. We spend like a 3-hour time period together, so we can go really deep into what they've done, what they, even what people don't realize is, even when you've had failures, they're not failures.
Mm,
They're all learning. And from that, we still come up. There's the thing, is we still land on our feet.
yeah,
So why can't we look at it as being our accomplishments instead of our failures? And
yeah.
from those, we've all have developed certain skills. And it's all these skills that we can put together and we can create something from it. And that's where you really find where your genius zone is.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not failures. There are actually things that will actually build you up, and they're what other people need. And that is really where the tweak comes in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for that. And what I'm thinking, is what I was going to say to you was, and with the nature of the title of what we're talking about here being the success mindset, right? I wanted to, in the second half of this conversation, really tap into that there, and I wanted to ask you a few questions, for your perspectives and views and outlooks and so on, so that people can get a sort of an actual a vibe and an energy for what your view is in these things, because everybody's is different. Everybody's is unique to them. So tell me this here. What does success mean to you in your life today? What is success? What's your definition of success, or what does it mean to you? And so on. Because I know it changes as well through life, in different periods of your life. But today, what is it to you, Glenda?
Well, it's really funny because my definition of success is really not what a lot of people's area is. I'm first of all, the fact that I'm really healthy. I had an accident about 8 months ago and got very badly injured. and I broke a bone in my back and my sacrum, and the doctors really thought that I would have trouble walking again.
Oh,
And in less than 8 months, I'm back up and walking, and I'm back into my speed walking. So when the doctor said to me, you might have to use a cane. And I remembered when I went from couldn't standing on my own 2 feet from crutches to a cane. And I looked at this cane and looked at my daughter and I said to her, there's no effing way that I'm going to be walking with this cane very long. Within, I'll give you 2 weeks, I'm off of this. Like, it ain't going to happen to me.
yeah,
Like, I'm not this little old lady.
yeah,
So success is being able to stand on my own 2 feet, having the body, a healthy body, and so having that ability to think on my own, to be independent. But one of the most incredible things of success, which is to me, is my children. Uh,
wonderful.
I I have two grown adult children. My son is now just turned 35, and my daughter will be married this summer, and she's 33. And I have a beautiful, great relationship with them both.
Wonderful.
And that to me is success.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Do you know why? Do you know why I'm smiling at that? Because I know so many people and so many families that don't have that. I know so many that do, but I also know so many that don't. And I think that's sad. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a very, very family orientated person. I'm married 30. I got married in the millennium, so I'm married 23 years this year. And
Congratulations.
thank you so much. And I have three children and two grandsons. We all live together still. And it's
Wow.
yeah, it's wonderful. And do you want to know something? That's my biggest success. If I was to, we're happy. Thank God we're healthy.
Yeah.
We're wealthy in various areas of our life.
Yeah.
God's good. Thank God for it all. And all onwards and upwards we go. And so when you say that, it makes my heart smile, because, you know, if you had have asked me what success was, I wouldn't have said that. But that's
What
not.
would you say
But
success is?
yeah, success to me today, right today, it includes that obviously, like I've just said, but I wouldn't have give it off the tongue as my definition. My definition of success today for me is the freedom to make choices that create experiences that make give my family joy, happiness,
Mm,
and fulfillment. So it's the freedom to make choices, to do what we want, wherever we want, whenever we want, pretty much,
yeah.
um, to create experiences that bring joy and happiness and fulfillment. And the reason that is my wife lost her mother and father 7 years ago within 8 months. And what we talk about every day is the experiences and the memories. We don't talk about the fancy house, the fancy cars, the fancy watches, the fancy clothes, the fancy whatever. We don't talk about any of that. We don't even, it's never acknowledged. It's the experiences and the joy and the happiness and the jokes and the laughter and the loyalty and the moment shared and the meals and the small things and the happiness that we give each other. That's what we talk about today.
Well, ask me what I give my children for their birthdays.
What did you give them?
We do not do gifts.
Uh-huh.
We do memories.
Yeah.
We go someplace, or we do dinners, or we do outings. We do memories.
Mm-hmm.
And we can sit around and we laugh and we talk about all the great things that we have done and through our lives, and it can become, and it doesn't even need to be on their birthdays, like, one summer, last summer, we the three of us, or now it's going to be four,
Yeah.
um we rented a cottage. We all went up for a week together. We hung out, we laughed, we cooked, we had bonfires, we went we went doing all sorts of things, kayaking, all sorts of things, and we make memories, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter those little things. If they need something they want, well, they buy for themselves. They don't have any real needs. None of us have any needs. We can get what we need and what we want.
Yeah.
And if I hear them saying about something, I don't care what it is, I will pick it up for them because it makes me happy. And if it makes me
Yeah.
happy, that I can make them happy, then it's great.
Yeah.
But it's finding those times where we can be together. And that what makes my heart good is, what, if there's something on my mind and if I can't make a decision on something, or I have something,
Mm.
I could phone up my kids and talk to them and ask them,
Yeah.
and vice versa, like, the other day my son had a really hard day. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a criminal defense lawyer, and he had a really tough trial that he was in. And he phoned me on his way home from court, and we started talking, and he was telling me all about it. And then from that we got into stories and we started laughing. And then he drives home and he says, Mom, thanks so much. You just made my day. You just took off all the stress off my day.
Well, it's
And
not brilliant.
isn't that what it's about?
Yeah, yeah. And listen, do you want to know something? Just for transparency as well, and for the record, I love all the material stuff too. Like, to be honest. Okay, did you see?
Well,
Like, I'm sitting here today, right? I have an event tomorrow night. I have an event tomorrow night, and this isn't meant for any other reason than showing you that yeah, I'm sitting thinking what watch am I going to wear for my event, right? So, like, and that's not to brag, by the way. That's not to brag, by the way. That's just to show that it's not all I like things. I just like I like to do what makes me happy. And
well,
if that
and
means a nice holiday or a new car or whatever it might, or the watch or whatever it might be, then I'm all about it. But always, I'm very, very consciously aware, Glenda, of what matters most to me, because those things give you short-term gratification. You get them, you're happy, and then every time you wear it, okay, yes, but you're not wearing that all the time. It's you're wearing all the time. It's you that's with you all the time. What's bringing you true joy, inner peace, contentment, happiness, fulfillment, and that's what I prioritize in my life. Like I've been, and the pandemic taught me that, Glenda, about time, spending time with the people that matter the most,
yeah.
the most often.
Yeah, I think the pandemic was actually very useful in so many ways.
Yeah,
People talk about it being a bad thing, and
yeah.
um, those when times are hard, you learn the most.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mentioned to you, this accident that I had. Like 1 second, my whole life changed.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing how many people came running to make me dinners, to offer to clean my home, to do my grocery shopping. Now I have the ability, and I'm grateful for that. Every time, everything in my life, because I've gone through so many struggles through my life, that I am so grateful that I can pick up and buy whatever I want, and I can have my groceries, done for me. But when you can say yes to a friend, because we always can't be giving, it doesn't work that way in life.
Yeah.
You have to be able to give, and you have to be able to receive.
Law of attraction.
And that's been my hardest part, because I've always given my entire life. I grew up giving, so I didn't know anything, and I had a hard time receiving, even to receive a compliment.
Yeah,
I struggled with that.
yeah. Of
And I had to learn that I had to take. And
course.
so when my friends would say, I'm going to make you dinner, you don't have to prepare, you don't need to order, I would say, thank you very much. That's very kind of
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
And that was, it was hard,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
did it.
Yeah,
But
we must learn to graciously receive compliments, favors, help, support, money, whatever it might be, and I like to I found that challenging as well. Most people, I think a lot of people do actually, and that probably is why a lot of people don't receive the abundance that they potentially could do and deserve to in their life, because they're not ready to receive. It's like if I went up to somebody and said, "Hey, there's a fiver, get a coffee and a sandwich and me there or whatever," and they're like, "No, no, 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 I can't." And I'm like, how can you expect to receive 500, 5,000, 550? How, you have to learn to receive. And I now graciously receive when the timing's right, because I know that that's part of the universal laws. That's part of the law of attraction, because it's okay me desiring great things in my life. Everybody desires something, right? But
Right.
if I don't actually expect to receive that, I'm not going to receive that, because I'm resistant to it. I'm pushing it away. My vibration's
Right.
not, I'm not open-hearted, open-minded.
And the flow doesn't happen for
No.
us because
So it has to
everything
happen
is a
like that.
cycle. Yes.
So I know you get it, because I can listen to some of your language there that you're in. A book I'm actually reading at the minute, which is heavy going, but I'm enjoying it at the same time, is The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill.
Okay.
So
Yes. Well, I'm a student of Think and Grow Rich, so
yeah,
I'm right there with you.
yeah. Are you with the Napoleon Hill Institute by any chance at the minute? No.
Yes.
Oh, you are.
Yes.
You are.
Yes.
You're with Cleona and so on.
Well, there is a group here in Canada
Yeah, yeah.
that
Good.
I'm with, and
Good.
yes, and it has changed my life, and it's how I think. And the funniest thing about this is, before I started reading Think and Grow Rich and going into it,
Mm.
I was doing it already, and I didn't know it.
Unconscious competent. Yeah,
Yes.
I would be a bit like that too. The problem with that, the chat, not the problem. It's not a problem, but
No.
the challenge with that is when the wheels come off. When it's okay when you're doing it, and you're in the mood to do it, and you're feeling like doing it, and you're doing it. But when you get reset by an external thing in your life that throws you, it could be anything in life. But sometimes when you're an unconscious competent, you're not consciously aware to get out that gratitude journal, to start into your affirmations, to start that self-talk process, to go and meditate, to switch off your phone and go and reset. You don't have the tools, because you're doing it subconsciously. You're doing it on autopilot. You're doing it most of the time, but not all of the time. And like, I had a terrible day yesterday. I don't mind sharing it with anybody, but I had a terrible day yesterday when I had a an exchange from hell with somebody, basically, where somebody projected whatever hurt or whatever negativity or whatever challenges or worries or anxiety they have in their life. They projected that onto me on social media, and then into an email exchange and all sorts, and it just absolutely flipped my day upside down. But flipped my head, because I don't like that. I don't like ill will or ill feeling, and it really upset me. And what I did was, I sat down in the evening, and I have it here, and you can see the pages and pages, and it was like all affirmations, and I was going into auto suggestion, repeating the affirmations one after the other, and I was just flooding my brain with the good stuff. I'm calm and I'm confident. I'm in control of myself and my business and my relationships, and I affirmed that to myself so much that I lifted myself out of that. But
I know that's part of what I do through my coaching,
yeah,
because people, the thing is people, when you say to them, you need to learn about mindset, because it is everything of how you look at things that change everything. And people go, well, I've heard about all of this thing, but it's in everything in your life.
yeah,
And if whether you can or you can't, either way, you're right. It
yeah, yeah,
doesn't matter. It's how you think of things. Like, just like I've always looked at things, like I've had some major knockdowns through life, but you know what? I look at it and I always believe somehow everything always works for me. And it has.
yeah,
Everything in my life has always worked for me.
yeah.
I'm living now in a place that was 10 years ago. I moved in just before COVID into my condo. It was on my vision board 10 years ago.
Wonderful.
And And, I didn't realize until I was moving and I pulled out the old vision boards because I had put it away. And I look and I go, oh my God, this is where I'm moving to. And I had this on my vision board years ago.
Yeah, wonderful.
It's just all the way I think, I even though the knockdowns, even when my relationships, I learned from them. I
Yeah,
built myself stronger, resilient, and always believed that, people react in ways. And I always look at it, even when I was a child, and my mom was not the kindest person, and she was very negative. And somehow in my being, I just always knew I didn't want to be like her. I
yeah,
wanted to smile. I wanted to be happy. It was just, I loved to help people. I was very different, and I knew that I wanted to be that way.
yeah, good.
It's how you decide, and you
Yeah,
have decisions. You have a decision when you wake up in the morning whether you're going to be in a good mood or not.
yeah,
And when I see people like what happened to you yesterday, I step back, and this is how I've gone through even to heal from relationships, of saying, well, maybe they didn't know any better because maybe they were never taught.
yeah.
You know, we can only start from where we're taught from.
Glenda, can I share something with you? And I don't mind sharing it publicly because anybody that knows me will know I'm a reasonably good person. I'm not perfect, but who is? But
Who is? Yeah.
but I'm close, right? Uh,
Yeah.
yes,
You keep on doing it, trying.
yes.
So
But
yes, please share.
but yesterday I didn't think like that. I tried to, right? I tried to. It opened up where it was just like, okay, I wish you well, good luck. And then it was like I started pressing my buttons, and it became personal, and that triggered me. And then
Yeah.
I wasn't my absolute best self. In reply, I was really telling them what I thought of them, and as opposed to save. What's the point? Like, yeah, wish you well. Let's unfollow one another. Good luck. I'm only here to serve and help the people that really are ready to receive that. Like, there's no point being personal. There's no point. But I reacted and just told them really what I thought of them. And but here's what I learned from that. That didn't do me any good. It was really ego. It was really ego for me. I felt I needed to. He can't talk to me like that. I'm going to let him know what I think. I didn't need his approval or his anything, but I give it to him anyway, because I could, and I felt that he deserved it. But he may very well have deserved it, but I didn't have to do it,
Yeah.
So I feel like I let myself down, but I learned it wasn't a failure; it was a learning, and I have to be better next time. Even though I was totally 100% like the receiver of this episode. Anyway, too much information for anybody listening, but it's interesting. It's a real life story for people to understand what they could learn from maybe my mistake yesterday, which was reacting. I reacted instead of responding.
So
And
I've
that's me.
been,
That's me all over, by the way.
but I understand that. And that used to be me, but many years ago, even after a very bad time through a divorce, when I was being attacked, and it was very hard because it was also attacking my children.
Yeah,
And I take that very seriously. I'm Mama Bear,
yeah.
even still till today, I still love and protect my kids, and I'll always be that way till the day I'm gone.
Of course.
But I learned that when I find something that's really triggering me, I've made a deal with myself
Mm.
that when I have to make major decisions or come through, instead of reacting to some things,
Mm.
I always tell myself that I need to sleep on something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I don't react. And I've done really well in these last number of years because when it's something is really triggering me, I say to myself, you've made a promise to yourself. And
Yeah.
that's me to me.
Holding
That isn't anybody else.
holding yourself accountable.
Totally. And when you start to do that, you start to see that you start to shift. And even through the years where like I said, when I went through a terrible battling of divorce, and I just said, you know what? I'm not going to get involved in that because you know what? I'm not coming down to that level, number one. And I pride myself on being the best that I can be. And so for now, from that point on, actually in my life, and here's the other thing that people don't realize, and it's such an important point, is, and especially if people are listening who have children.
Yeah.
So many times throughout my life, and I remember this, and I'll come back to that in a second, but I have seen how my children watch me and listen to me and have said to me, Mom, you have taught me more than anything else. And when I react in a way and my kids come back and they go,
Yeah.
wow, I am so proud of you of how you reacted. And just last week, I was talking to my daughter. She was going through some difficulties. There's some, she's getting married and there's some situation where there's a health problem in part of the family, and it's causing a little bit, and health is the one thing we have no control over.
Yeah.
And it's causing a lot of anxiousness and things like that. And we were on the phone and we did FaceTime for about 3 hours. And after that, my daughter says to me, you know what, Mom, you've taught me one important thing. You've taught me how to be the best mom that there ever is. And I hope that I'm a half of good of being a mom when my time comes, as you have been to me. Like, what
Well,
an incredible feeling that it was to me. And I'm not saying this to to blow myself up
yeah.
or anything like that. I was so taken by that because it taught me the one important lesson that I learned as a child. And I'll share with you this little story that taught me something. When I was a little girl, I remember driving. Our whole family was in a car driving home, and my father said to my mother, us kids were in the back seat, they're buckled up, and my dad was. We were driving down a main street in Toronto, and my dad said to my mom as we were driving, "Do you want to stop and say hello to your parents?" And my mother turned to my father and said, "No, I don't want to stop there." And that message that hit me was that I want to be that mom, that my kids are going to want to come to
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
me, want to be with me, and not feel like they have to be with me.
Yeah. Totally. Beautiful.
And that is what's guided me all my life,
Yeah.
by that one conversation that stayed in my head. And just remember, when you're in your car or when you're in your house and you might not be talking greatly, you remember that there's other people hearing you. And it might be subconsciously that maybe your kids are hearing what you say. So
Mhm.
always be careful of what you say, even to yourself,
Yeah.
because those all words matter of what we talk to ourselves about.
Yeah.
Never
Beautiful.
mind what our children, and even our children, no matter how old they are, that they pick up.
Yeah. Wonderful. Glenda, I actually just want to round up on that there point just because it feels appropriate, and just left with a real golden nugget and a bit of wisdom, and one that I'm sitting thinking about now. And I really appreciate it. And anybody listening to this, I know will appreciate it too. Um, if anybody was looking to connect with you, Glenda, what is the best platform? Where are you most receptive on?
Instagram, where I'm known as the Wise Woman's Word on Instagram, but also on Facebook as I am Glenda Kroll.
Right.
And my email is info@glendakroll.com. I'm, really receptive to all of those areas. And, if somebody is just going through some things and they just need even a listening board, I always offer a free 45-minute call, and we talk about it. And, I'm not here to sell you on anything. I'm here to just be and be of service, because you know what? Part of life is just giving to helping others, and things just come back to you. So,
What to do?
you know,
Yeah,
that's what
I
I
really
want
appreciate that.
in your life.
I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, and thank you so much. I'm glad we connected. I can see why we were supposed to connect, and yeah, it's wonderful. And I will speak to you very soon.
I look forward to it. Thank you so very much for having me here today.